Let your curiosity rise.
Mad Bricks webcast,
Where the human spirit flies. Mad Bricks webcast, where the human spirit flies.
Hi, welcome to the Medbix webcast. This is Ramana Namaraju. I'm the host. Let me, that's actually I wanted to introduce you that. Let me introduce my co-host, bold and beautiful and troubled sometimes, Dr. Susan Davis. She's a nursing leader and a good friend of mine. Let me bring Susan to the table. Hi, Susan. With
Good
all the
evening,
questions.
Ramana. Hi, how are you?
Thank you for joining. It's always same old, we go a long way. That one of the things that I want to show you, that I want to tell Suja, our guest, the person I showed in the our intro video, is a doctor. Subbarao is from my hometown. He went to school in her hometown, Chennai, her home state, Chennai. Then he came to Harvard, and then he invented the first chemotherapy drug, methotrexate. Still, they use his drug. Is 1953. He came in 1923. He came in to Harvard. Think about that.
Wow.
Long time ago.
And
So
you're saying he came from the same town as Suja? Our
yeah,
guest?
the same state as Suja. But he's from my hometown. He went to school there in Chennai. I will talk with her in a second. But I'll tell you, let me introduce our guest. She is a force to reckon with. She is a force. She is a board member of several Fortune 100 companies. Walmart, Kimberly-Clark. Walmart, if you don't know Walmart name, you're under the something. You don't belong to this planet. So she is a Walmart. She's a digital transformation, head of the digital transformation there. And then she is a Kimberly-Clark. That's we all know that all the tissue papers and everything. It's a huge organization. These are all Fortune 100 companies. Then Common Spirit, the Catholic health system. She was run the technology side of the Common Health Spirit. It is one of the largest healthcare system in the United States. Common Spirit. It used to be Catholic healthcare charities. I remember, going to Kentucky and all these areas. Catholic hospitals are the only one, so that they did, So Mother Teresa is from Catholic woman. So she ran that one healthcare system, and so she is a T200. She is one of the pioneering women, and she is everywhere, and she is really a force in the technology side, in the board membership advisory. Now we have a new revolution coming up, artificial intelligence. So we can talk with her about that. So let me bring her to the table, Dr. Suja Chandrasekaran. She is welcome, Dr. Dr. Doctor. No, you're not doctor.
You promoted me.
I'm used for doctors all the
Pleasure
time.
to meet you. Pleasure to meet you as well, Dr. Davis.
Yeah,
Uh,
Dr. Davis.
I'm not a doctor. Hopefully from your words to maybe it'll happen.
It
So
will happen. Yeah, PhD is a doctor also. I wanted to ask you. It's very interesting. You were born in the Shiva Ganges. Tell me about that. I'm
I
going to
don't know
put
where
you
you dug that up. I don't know where you dug that up, Ramana. You have a knack of finding these very interesting factoids. I was born in a very small village or very small town in the deep south of India. But I mostly grew up in and around Chennai and Bangalore, which is where I went to school. And then I moved to Australia. I did my MBA there, and then I came to the United States. I've been here. I've led very senior roles leading transformation in some very large brands and businesses, notably Nestle, which is a global company, and Walmart, as you mentioned, and Kimberly-Clark. I was also at PepsiCo, the Timberland company, and Common Spirit Health was my last executive role. Currently, I sit on multiple boards. I sit on retail, healthcare, supply chain, manufacturing, and of course, artificial intelligence boards. So I'm blessed to be part of some amazing work, exciting work that has served customers, has served patients, and I'm thrilled to be here, Ramana.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. Well, one more thing, that first time I noticed you is that during the pandemic, you put a note there in the supply chain side. We are all going through, the country is going through a crisis, that we don't have enough masks, we don't have enough ventilators, huge problem. You put a very strong note in the supply chain. I read that. I noticed you there. Tell us a little bit about your experience during pandemic and supply chain. You're expert in supply chain. Tell me your experience through that process.
Yeah, so interesting. You do dig up things. So you remember those days in the crisis, during the days of crisis, when the early days, supply chain did go through quite a bit of a challenge on even basic things. We all remember this. We all went through that: masks and scrubs and different parts of treating patients, and even testing kits, to being able to test patients that come in potentially with COVID, and making sure we have the right visibility, we have the right inventory, we have the ability to place orders, we are able to fulfill orders, and that even maybe starting up capabilities for new manufacturing, different kinds of sourcing from different locations. We stood up, Common Spirit stood up a lab at that time for COVID testing. So we had our own lab, and we were routing our tests through that lab. But I tell you, fast forward to today, one of the biggest excitements for me is AI in healthcare, right? Susan, you're in healthcare and you're watching this every day. I'm on the board of a diagnostics precision genomics company, and it is pathology, but we have brought in digital pathology by means of workflow, where the assay and the stain gets, the image goes to the cloud, then it gets scanned, and then there is AI algorithm that does a risk stratification, a first tier of risk stratification, and then it comes to the pathologist. And so we improved and streamlined the workflow, which brings us quite a bit of efficiencies. It also gives the pathologist a leg up in terms of the reading, and of course, the pathologist is the one finally diagnosing and signing on the result. But nevertheless, both basic digital capabilities as well as AI have started playing a role, but also in supply chain, Ramana, to your point, co-pilots helping supply chain buyers in the process of buying, predictive agents and automation that predict what happens in the supply chain, anticipating disruption, anticipating inventory, the perfect order, meaning I place an order, I get the goods, and then the invoice, and all three match as perfect as possible, almost 99% of the time. Those kinds of automations are happening. I'm part of an agentic AI company in the supply chain space, and we are doing these kinds of capabilities today. And I can only envision, and I am super excited and thrilled about fast forwarding to a future when these capabilities are present across the board. But in healthcare, the scribing, physician scribing with AI is rapidly gaining acceptance. It's rapidly gaining adoption, and certainly from my days at Common Spirit, we put a significant emphasis on data. We're building common data platforms, building clinical decision support capabilities with
So,
AI.
Suja, I want to interrupt you really quick. That decision supports my question. So, because there's two areas that you've brought up that are really important that I want to talk about tonight. Your procurement AI from where you were during the pandemic up until today, big difference. Same with the decision support. So even that word, and I just got back from Health USA in Vegas.
Yeah, very nice.
Yes. Oh, it was an amazing experience. So your language, they were speaking your language out there, and picking up dribs and drabs. But I think some of this decision support, they're trying to get away from that language even, because are we losing our brains? Are the doctors losing their brains? So how much is AI supporting that support mechanism versus, you also mentioned, okay, the final that subject matter expert is going to be the final vote on that process. How are we going to keep hold to that, with the speed where we are? So we'll just stick with the healthcare for a moment. You were talking about diagnostics, speeding that up. We love that. Assisting the teams, the pathology teams in the case that you shared. Are we going to lose our brains? Are the physicians going to lose their, how much of this is, do you see what I'm going with this? I feel like
Yeah,
decision support's a dangerous word.
call it however, right? So what's happening is I'm also on the advisory board of a of a company where we provide AI algorithms for various radiologists, cardiologists, the various diagnostics capabilities. And what we find is there is a significant shortage of clinician availability. And there are some very interesting numbers when it comes to radiology. There is only a total amount of, if I remember correct, 30,000 plus radiologists in the country. And they are reading, each of them are reading millions of images per year. I mean, think about that. The volume of work that goes through their tables, the amount of the speed and the throughput that they have to produce. So they are appreciating pretty much actually what's happening, Susan, is that clinicians are welcoming. And the mindset has certainly changed from a point of better understanding where this can help. How can we be part of the process? How can we shape the algorithms? How can we be part of the testing process? So certainly I'm more optimistic now than I was a few years back. Technology is only one aspect of it in any such transformation, but crucially, clinician acceptance.
I'm sorry. I have so much to ask you. I mean, I know you spend a lot of time on the risk, and I feel like the risk from the R&D to the user experience all the way through to the innovation. Is the risk assessment keeping up with our innovation? And are we able to keep our critical thinking? I know just in using, chat or Claude on a daily basis, there's drift. There's a significant amount of drift. So I'm just, healthcare is so specific, and I understand what you're saying, and the volume of that the AI is able to cut through and help the lowering number of clinicians we have across the country. But I'm wondering, do you think, and this was another thing that came up, a big hot topic out in health was, or I don't think maybe enough spoken about, was the risk, every layer of risk in this speedy process.
That's right. And risk, I will talk about risk certainly in healthcare, but also risk in every other industry as well. So there is new categories of risk that executives are dealing with, as well as the boards. So for example, just is there a basic governance and a risk management process for the AI models within the companies? And how would a board get a visibility to that kind of a process? How much teeth does it have? The second is there a catalog? Is there a data catalog? Is there an AI catalog of the various capabilities that are in these entities? And who is monitoring and managing this? And just even the kind of data that's flowing in, the ingress, the egress, what comes in, what goes out. And how is risk managed in these AI models? AI, especially in these probabilistic models, in Gen AI models, we need agents to be monitoring these models constantly. So what kind of monitoring and managing and risk managing models and agents do we have that are constantly monitoring these capabilities? What kind of additional metrics do we need in order to assess the risk aspect that is stemming from the user models itself? So there is a different kind of a set of processes, a set of tools, a set of metrics that are necessary within the companies, as well as the visibility from these to the boards that are essential. Regulation is still catching up. Now, FDA has a good process. There is a fairly good good number of software as a medical device capabilities that have come out in the US. So the medtech industry is rapidly advancing in diagnostics, especially. And along with that, the risk and the risk management and the measurement of risk. Nobody wants, let me put it this way, no company wants to be the first headline in the Wall Street Journal where something, nobody wants to be that. So everybody is putting a lot of focus on this topic, and everybody has a lot of emphasis on this topic. But I think this is a space that will continue to evolve until we get to the bottom of it.
Suja, just 1 second, Susan.
I'm sorry, this is a quick pivot.
I wanted to ask you one quick question, supply chain, before you. Hold on, Susan. 1 second, I'll give it to you back.
It was supply chain. I was going back to supply chain, so we're good.
Supply chain, yeah. The reason was I used to install digital X-ray machines for the doctors, So the CMOS camera was invented here, right here, a few blocks from here. Intel invented the CMOS camera. So they exported to Japan and China, and they put the plastic around it, and they sold this to us, the humongous, huge prices per back to us. The digital X-rays are extremely expensive. There's no primary care doctor can afford to buy that. So we don't have, during the pandemic, we don't, one of the things is the lungs are affected through the pandemic. One way to detect the COVID is through the digital X-ray machine can detect. So we don't have the parts. If one nut is missing, one bolt is missing, I have to wait for Japan to send it or China to send it. So this kind of a manufacturing base is missing. How do you address that? As a leader, we are really medical manufacturing is a national security issue in my view. What do you think of it?
Ramana, you're absolutely right. You're sounding like the president of the country. This is what he's been talking about, right? So the national sovereignty, the national, almost like a category of products that are essential for national security, which goes all the way from medtech products to key pharmacy products to APIs, which are the ingredients that go into pharmacy capabilities. So there is the mechanism the current government is doing there is to apply tariffs to these products. I'm on the board of a diversified manufacturer, and we do manufacture medtech products for different major brands that you would recognize. And we are prepared. We have prepared for global for local. We are prepared for local manufacturing. So there is a is there are you're seeing a lot of foreign investments that are coming into the country for manufacturing in the US for some of these products. But the exact result of how much of that is going to shift, which categories are going to shift in terms of giving us that sovereignty of being able to manufacture those products, and by when will that happen? Will we have the right labor and right talent and the capabilities to stand those up? Is the process and the regulations around standing up those capabilities going to slow us down? So there's still a long journey to go, but you're certainly seeing like everybody it's a key topic and it's a key theme. And tariff is one vehicle through which that enforcement is beginning to happen. And generally, I'm seeing a potential spirit in which that could happen, but there's a longer journey to go.
That's an excellent question, and thank you. That was fascinating. It's something that I really hadn't full circled around to, because I was going to head back to, if that's the case, AI, and I know you're working with this, AI in procurement with a 90. Am I reading this correctly? A 90% increase in productivity and a 10 to 15% improvement in operations. I mean, those are pretty big numbers.
Susan, you're right. So this is where there is a big variation, right? So you see a spectrum of predictions. I think one of the major consulting firm came up with a huge number, 90%, 95% productivity. Bigger companies can run by themselves autonomously with just a few people. And then the first one employee company is going to be founded, one employee $1 trillion valuation company is going to be founded, right? There is that end of the spectrum. And then there is the other end of the spectrum, which is that's not going to happen. It's going to be much lesser. And also the general concern about job losses and the societal impacts. We are certainly seeing the truth as of now with current technologies and the current adoptions and challenges. We're seeing anywhere from 10 to 20 to 40, 50%, and even 90% some cases, depending on the use case and depending on the technology and the maturation of the technology. So I would say in development, in software development and testing, quality in software is the testing processes, you're seeing a fairly good productivity, anywhere from 10 to 50%, and maybe even higher in many, many cases. So that's a given. Sometimes even in code migration, it is up to an 80 plus percentage. So yes, the art of the possible is there. I am fully not subscribed that it's going to be just zero people company are going to just suddenly going to pop up. But I also believe we're just in a very early set of this journey, and we need to evolve and let it play through and be open-minded to and mitigate the risk. To your earlier point, the human in the loop many times is not just for executing the transactions. The human in the loop is a risk mitigation factor. In fact, one of the risk question that we use is how many models are low, medium, high risks? Of the high risk models, how many have human in the loop? How many are autonomous? Right, so those are questions. So it's risk both for risk management as well as continuous improvement. You need humans in the loop for continuous improvement. We still don't have agentic AI and Gen AI that will automatically improve. They will rewire themselves for adjusting and adapting to workflows based on the context that they are seeing. But for autonomously and automatically just significantly leapfrogging and improving our processes, we're still some ways away from that. So the human in the loop is also from that perspective. So it's still a journey. It will vary. But what is also exciting to me is topics like search. So online search is significantly going from your typical Google search. So let's say a patient. The interesting stat is Gen Z has been getting most of their medical advice from social, from
Yes.
Instagram, from TikTok. This is where they get their health advice. Now that is shifting already to generative AI. So the questions are now more with Chat, GPT, and Perplexity, and those type of products. And think about retail. So the categories of consumption and buying are going from Google search. So you want to buy a product, you do a Google search. Instead, now you're starting it with a large language model. Agentic products have come up where the automated agent can do your shopping for you or scour and
Agentic commerce, right? This agentic commerce. And
agentic
so
commerce is the last 15, 20 years has been about omni-channel commerce. The next 15, 20 years is going to be about agentic commerce. Maybe a trillion, couple of trillion. I was reading an article where they were projecting $2 trillion worth of agentic commerce in the next several years. So I know big numbers are being thrown about. We know there is a change that is imminent. So even those kinds of things, not just productivity, but truly revenue generating, customer engagement, patient engagement. So now the digital front door, when I was at Common Spirit, one of our biggest focus was digital front door. So the digital front door today, if we were envisioning the digital front door, it'll be significantly different from the digital front door we had at that time, right? So how we engage with customers with AI and enriching their experiences with AI is going to be the focus. So that's also the revenue, the different business models, all of those also play a factor. And then even in pharma, back into healthcare, pharma drug discovery has gone through a very big moment of, my goodness, this is amazing, to a little bit of a lull. No, what is happening? Nothing really has come out. I believe there's one drug that is approved so far with Gen AI. Or maybe they.
so you
Go
use
ahead.
terminology, Suja. What you're describing is a huge list. And Romana, I'll hush up in just a second. But you said this is early agentic muscle building, and I thought, like, you know what? That's such a good description of this, because we're all just learning what this means, and you just gave a huge variety of where we're going. It's amazing, right? We're building our agentic muscles. I love the agentic commerce thought, connecting your OpenAI to Shopify, and watch out.
So,
Exactly.
Suja, one of the things is, yes, yeah, one of the things that the AI, you always watch the investors, right? The investment is trillions of dollars going to the investment of the AI. Do you think how they recover all these companies? Are they ready? The big companies is going to shift the game, or the small companies going to pop up a new thing is going to pop up with the new AI? Is the returns on the investments that the old AI companies, traditional AI companies, big mega corporations you work for, or the new AI companies, small companies, lean methodologies, they will pop up and change the world. What do you think? How the investments coming back to the AI investments?
I think this is the trillion-dollar question, right? So there is so much investments into the chip landscape and the chip company stocks, and then the chip landscape to the platform companies, right? The chip companies to the platform companies, which are building out the hyperscalers and the data centers and all the whole ecosystem behind that. And the enterprise adoption is still very, very early stages. The enterprise adoption is where the revenue comes back. And then all of these capital investments start yielding revenue and profitability for the full ecosystem of companies that have done these investments. That is still very early game. And I see multiple categories of companies that are thriving in that space. So now the software stack is getting developed, the agentic AI stack is getting developed. That is getting developed from very established companies, software as a service companies, putting agentic on their products like Salesforce, Oracle, and Cerner and Epic. But also new startups have come up, which are amazing unicorn startups. So there's always this incumbent versus the new entrants. There's always this debate. In general, we all know incumbents do tend to have a bit of a challenge that they have to work through in terms of inertia. But the startups, the new startups, they are killing it. I am part of this startup. We are about to raise CDC. The team moves forward so rapidly from the day we discuss a possibility to when they already have built something, or in between board meetings when they come back and present to us what they have built. The kind of thought processes, even so, I'll give you an example. I've been on the buying side of tech products my entire career, and everybody would show a demo and a journey of a tech product is a key way. And Susan, I'm sure you bought products like that as well, and Ramana, you sold products like that as well. But now when we do sales demo, we do that with the customer's data. So forget the worry about the data quality. You're getting customer's data and you're putting it through your product, and the first demo itself is with the customer's data, which means the customer is absolutely able to connect with the product, see it from their own lens. So what we are seeing, there's a lot of fundamental things that are getting shifted. So that is one example. The second example I would say is, previously we used to say, get a clean process and then you do technology. Don't put good technology on a bad process, because all you will get is garbage. But now the technology has evolved to a point that the technology can create a new art of the possible, as well as address the opportunities in the current processes. So in a way, now the model has flipped to a point that don't spend months and months and months and years just fixing and documenting the perfect process. It's like, do you put the shoes first or the clothes first, right? So we used to say clothes first and shoes next. Now we are saying put the shoes first and then the clothes will work out and the shoes will help you find the clothes. So it's I don't know whether the analogy works, but everything is changing. Data quality is not the anathema. These are fixable. Don't try to solve world hunger fixing data quality for the entire enterprise. Take the capability you need to build, and your data is not just the data you have in your transactional systems. It's not your health record data. It's not just the data in your ERPs. It's the data you need from the full business and the market outside, the patient information, or whatever you need outside, and then cleanse as you go with the tools that are now making it possible to do that rapidly. So the mindset change is as much an important part of the transformation we are in. Data and AI are a mindset first. Data, AI, mindset first.
Mindset before the tool stack. Yeah, that's excellent. Wow, these are some hot gems, Suja. Very hot gems, especially from someone as a woman in healthcare tech, moving forward with my first. I have my own startup, and I'm in my first iteration of tech that I'm trying to build. It's hard to keep up. The second you think you've got it, to your point, we don't have time to do the data. You're already iterating your iteration, really in rapid form. So these are really good gems for me. Thank you.
Talking about data a little bit, let me talk about privacy a little bit. The bias and the privacy. Privacy is one of them. Bias is a lot of, in the AI bias, we are concerned, particularly physicians are very concerned about that, because one of the examples of that is one United Health, one company, I don't want to mention the name of the company, but it's a public information, that they used the wrong data and then came up with the wrong analysis, and then give a treatment on that basis. Went totally wrong. So how do you prevent these biases and then the privacy both in AI world?
For me, the biggest awakening was when we heard that the oximeter gave wrong readings for people of color. The oximeter was such an important aspect of the COVID testing, right? So the oximeter, yes, the oxygen level in the blood, and it was giving a different reading that was probably not accurate. So bias and bias management is a conscious part of every product and testing it. And we saw the Google model. The first earlier Google model was giving out racist comments, right? And then, or maybe there was another model that came up, and there was, I think it was Abraham Lincoln or a famous political person that showed up as an African American. So we had all kinds of incorrect biases that were showing up. And there is a conscious effort with the reinforcement learning, the human in the loop capabilities that's happening. Yet I do believe that this is a topic that companies need to put a very clear emphasis on. It's both bias and the accuracy. Both are interconnected, right? So one is bias is it could give a wrong result, which could be misconstrued as it was discriminatory to somebody, or it could be an inaccurate result that hurts a company in a decision that you make, or a physician that makes an incorrect decision. So either way, the risk monitoring agents, the privacy protecting agents, and a complete emphasis on this, and this goes to talent. I will tell you, we have some amazing privacy leaders. We have some amazing chief information security officers in the companies. But there is a need for a continued development of these groups of people, and also development of new kinds of people that have this as a distinct expertise, and that's their, and just like our people have taken care of cyber defense for the companies, we need people who take care of privacy and bias and hallucinations and all kinds of other things that could go wrong when you're using a model. That needs to be a complete focus. And like I shared, it has to be reportable, monitorable, measurable. States are coming up with regulations around bias as well, which will then make sure that it comes from the other direction. But from a regulatory side, it is somewhat dangerous when we start having very state level regulations. From a regulation side, I think United States is better off that there is one set of regulations that is uniformly applied across each state. Otherwise, it just becomes a bit chaotic to enforce in every state.
And that's the case now. There isn't one.
That's right. Privacy, right? Even privacy, there's multiple set of regulations across different states, and Europe, EU has done a good job in that. All EU states pretty much have to follow with what EU comes up with.
So, the bias you talk about, gender bias. Let us talk about you. You're on the board of a T200. Is like the leading women's, that network. Tell us a little bit about. I don't want to come between the two women here, but give us a little bit what the woman was missing that part. Around the world, in fact, woman participation is extremely critical in this bias situation, and all over, even the governance itself. We need them. So tell us a little bit. As a man, I'm talking about, but I think you're the better one to talk about this kind of thing.
Ramana, I'm going to pause here. I'm not going to be able to answer the question, and then I can talk to you privately afterwards. So I'm not going to be able to respond to that question. Please bear with me.
Okay, that's fine.
Please edit that out.
Let's go to the next question. So, you're on the boards of several things, right? You're on the board of. So tell us a board experience for you. What is the boards give you? That what kind of things they go through? I never been to any board 100 Fortune 100. What they discuss in usually their investments, stakeholders, the product quality. What they discuss in general in the boards.
The board governs and provides oversights to the companies, right? That's at a high level, duty of care, duty of loyalty. There's a very strict, specific set of tenets and codes that the boards follow. Boards operate as a full board as well as in committee structures. And currently, there is a lot of focus around AI, bringing the topic back to the board level. Pretty much every board is talking about AI in every meeting. Pretty much every committee has a responsibility towards AI, right? Whether it's in the audit committee, you're discussing what are the controls and what are the risks, to your point, Susan. What are the risks and how are the risks mitigated? And how just various elements of how the company is operating, auditing, how are they staying regulated? So those are going into the audit committee. The nomination and governance committee is focused on people. How are people educated? What kind of people impacts could we envision? And what kind of talent do we need? How are we developing our people? So who's leading the transformation? So a lot of people topics. Or in the compensation committee, you're discussing what kind of compensation is needed. That's the other common theme we hear is that on the one hand, in general, in the macroeconomic situation, there's a fair amount of let's say, it's a bit of a tepid situation. It's not like the gung-ho days that we all have seen in the past. So even in that situation, the amount of talent available to do the agentic AI, Gen AI work is very limited. Companies are not able to make progress because of the lack of the talent. So how are we going to build the talent for the society? So those are key topics, and of course, are the full board strategy. What is the strategy for the company? What parts of the strategy are enabled by AI, Gen AI, or I'm sure there are other things as well. What distribution center are we going to build? What manufacturing plants are we going to build? So there's different conversations, or what kind of M&A, mergers and acquisitions conversations. But the full strategy of AI is reviewed, approved, oversighted, shaped, advised, counseled, and governed by the board. And then the committees take care of different bodies of work. So AI is a major topic, both in terms of transformation as well as the risk. The transformation also has there's a set of scorecards. Boards like to see scorecards. And at this point, the scorecards are still taking shape. Most companies, I don't believe, have a very specific scorecard, but the leading companies do. What is the transformation? How well is it progressing? What impact have you made? How is it impacting revenue and margin? And how are you leading people with change management and educating them, giving them the security and helping them come along? And then the risk scorecard has its own set of scores, which are not the same as your previous risks. These are different kinds of risks. And good boards, leading boards already have those kinds of scorecards, and the management teams are presenting. So there is a lot of focus around both the macroeconomic volatility, tariff-related situations, and everything that's happening there. But also there is a focus around AI and how companies will embrace this AI. What I call where we are now is a great knowledge worker reset. The great knowledge worker reset is happening around us, and boards are certainly governing through that. What's going to follow with physical AI is, once as we do this, and not necessarily sequentially, is how our robotics and humanoids and drones. So there's a complete set of physical aspects of additional capabilities that are coming up, which are including AI, but they can do other kinds of physical activities. So you've got the digital aspect of AI, you've got the physical aspect of AI, and that's not that far. That's going to come along very quickly. So companies that are doing digital AI now are better prepared to embrace the physical AI world. So I think it's a great time to be in business, and I think boards have a very crucial responsibility to govern through this phase.
In Suja, healthcare, the doctors in general were skeptical about the technology in general, because you remember those days electronic medical records gave a lot of challenges to the. So they have a mistrust of technology in general, even though AI is revolutionary. They don't really fully grasp, some of them are at least, fully grasp, understand the power of AI. So how do you create that trust factor? Particularly, that is the more important, right? They creating the trust of the people like Susan. They deal with the patients every day. Tell me a little bit about that.
Romana, really quick before you answer, Suja, I would like to say that trust was a huge word at health. I mean, it came up on almost every stage and in various applications. So I'm interested what you think about that. It's a big word in a global thinking world that has to be executed locally, and from the global stage down to from the bedside if we use healthcare.
I would love to hear Susan's opinion on the physician, where the physicians are. I think the physicians are adapting to the current situation much more so than I had anticipated. And they are beginning to be part of it. The key element about any kind of a new topic, a new capability that comes into play, is to have the person, the audience, the end user, to be part of the change. And physicians are now collaborating with algorithm creation, algorithm definition, the science journals publishing results of algorithms, the kind of large language models that are getting created. There is still a good, healthy skepticism. I would say maybe it's balanced, and I would love to hear your views, Susan. It's because the proof points are still early, especially in drug discovery. I would tell you the proof point is still early. Okay, where is that full end-to-end cycle of the drug discovery that has been talked about for almost 10, 15 years, even pre-Gen AI? Where is that? So, but there are pockets of successes that have happened. So there is enough of a credibility that the companies are still continuing to chug along. There's also a belief and a bet that new technologies will evolve things. You saw the Google announcement of a cancer protein that was discovered using AI, or there was an announcement that Sundar Pichai made a couple of weeks back. So there are glimpses and pockets of excitement. Definitely medtech and diagnostics they're taking off with AI. And the radiologists, certainly that is the audience for that diagnostics. So it's going to be slow but steady. Whenever I have my own events, I talk to the technicians. So I was going through my own EKG. I was going through my own annual check, and I was asking her, how do you like it? And she immediately tells me, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. It is erroneous, so I have to back tab, and I don't like that it gives me erroneous answers, and I have to back tab and go do that again. But I like it when it does certain things. So they are very, very, the technicians and the nurses and the clinicians in general, they're all picking it up. They don't like some parts, they like some parts. So, but they're all wanting for it to be getting better. So we are definitely seeing that growth mindset of things wanting to be better, and I think we still have a long way to go. But I do believe, I also am optimistic in a way, because of the kind of investments being made, the kind of people that are working on it, the physicians becoming part of it. But what are you seeing, Susan?
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. And of course, from a nurse, my whole crew, my whole posse is looking at this through nursing lens. 5, 6 million in the United States, 19 million of us. We are the largest workforce in healthcare, period, globally. So they say, if you want to be a prompt, you want to know how to prompt, you better ask a nurse. So we are the end user, or with the end user of every single innovation just about in healthcare. So I would say that nurses are, you'll be on the West Coast, some of our are striking. Forget about it. Like, there's no robotic nurses here, not welcome. All the way to the other end where people are having, I just saw today, there is, a little screen, it comes in a little robot with a screen, but it's a nurse running the robot. Maybe so there's many from striking to bring it now. We want these tasks, our task heavy life, to be relieved so we can give our patient care. I'm all very optimistic about that. And then on the medical side, same thing. We're pushed. You mentioned several times, Suja, about our lack of practitioners across the board: nurses, nurse practitioners, PAs, physicians of all specialties. We want help. We want that decision support. So I'm very optimistic. And I'll add one more thing to this. I think that some of them are so excited that they're heading out into the innovation and healthcare world. There's a mass exodus of clinicians joining this entrepreneurial innovation whirlwind tour, and they're bringing their excellence, they're bringing their specialties to the table where this stuff is being built. And thank goodness. So what a magnificent time to be in healthcare, to have the opportunity to help change healthcare for the better, in my opinion, as well, from removing the massive task list from our shoulders so we can get back to the heart of being in healthcare, be with our patients, spend that critical time that's needed. Hopefully we won't lose our brains like we spoke about at the beginning, and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to rely on this decision support so much that that I'm maybe not on my game as much as I should be. So I too am optimistic. I'm loving it for nursing. I want to be able to have decision support where it helps,
and
task support where it
decision
helps.
support, task support, automation, where it makes sense. But you are absolutely right. I do see that clinicians of all categories jumping into the startup world, because AI is not a spectator sport. AI is not something you're going to learn or make better. And AI is also many times an insider job. So it's better that the clinicians are the ones that are engaging and doing the work and engaging with technologists. So I am very positive and very upbeat about where we are headed. So, Susan, is that time to wrap? Did Ramana drop off because it's
Yeah.
time?
What happened was,
Where'd you go?
what happened was, my internet connection was a little bit bad.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
Okay.
that's truly, educational for us. Suja, thanks for joining. It is a really one of the different kind of a framework you are giving to our thinking process for us, particularly in the healthcare world. We are kind of to be honest with you, doctors and nurses, and including management side of it, we are lost in some extent. We don't know what we think about the AI. You're giving a true picture now. You're giving a clear direction. The innovation is, and Susan is emphasizing that innovation. She's embracing it. I think we are going to be in the right direction, and the people like you are on the helm of this whole process. We have confidence now that we can move with the confidence.
Superb. What a pleasure.
I would like, sorry, I just was thinking, to wrap this up, Suja, I know you were recognized, I believe back in when you were working with Common Spirit during the pandemic, healthcare woman leader, something along these lines. Was an amazing recognition. And then I was thinking about all of your expertise and how rare it is truly to find strong women in healthcare, in retail, anywhere that I would look to as a mentor. And I appreciate the work that you do in teaching me tonight, like an encyclopedia. So I'm taking notes, believe you me. So I thank you for your work in healthcare. Thank you for that recognition. And I'm sure obviously well-deserved, because you never slowed down. That was, I think, what, 2022, that recognition?
Yes.
Was it, did I get that right?
Yes.
2023?
Yes. I was humbled.
Yeah, so-
I was humbled with that. That's a big one. It's
Thank
top
you.
20
Well, looking
top
forward
20
to
women
your
in,
next.
in globally, I think. Top 25 women in healthcare globally. So it was amazing. Susan, it's my pleasure knowing you. Ramana, pleasure meeting you in this podcast.
Thank you so much. Can you wait for after the podcast? I want to talk with you a couple of minutes.
Of course, of
That'd be
course.
interesting. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining. Good night, all of you.
Good night.
Good night.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it